Donnie Ray, and this is the PRIV Talks podcast. Join me and my team as we pull back the curtain on work, life, family, friendship, leadership, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. We hope these conversations will inspire you, make you feel connected, and bring you a laugh. Welcome back.
Hello, listeners.
Hello.
Hi, guys. How are you? That was a depressing how are you?
That's such a loaded question. I'm good. I'm well. Family's healthy. I'm good.
I'm well is a good answer, actually,
I'm
because
well.
we are all well.
Yes.
I
Physically
feel well rested.
Yeah. I actually had a bit of a sleepless night last night. Every once in a while, if I'm concerned about finances or something, and there has been some financial stress this week. I wonder why. And so I was up at 3:30 in the morning, just cruising Twitter and
Nothing that you
replying to
do
my
at 3:30 in
accountant.
the morning is going to help you.
And also, you look like a weirdo sending people emails at 4 in the morning.
More when you send text messages at 3 in the morning.
I try not to do that. I would only do that to you.
See, I feel like I have to stay. Well, I've always been a sleeper. Everyone knows that. But I have to stay in bed till Justin comes on in the morning. Then I get up. I can work from bed. I can bring my computer and my coffee to bed. But I actually don't get up and get ready until after that.
Until Justin tells you that you can.
Yeah. He's like, you're still good to go.
It's been getting me out of bed in the morning too. Ev and I have been chatting in the morning and breaking down the plan and
You've been what?
talking, communicating. And then all of a sudden he's like, what time is it? I'm like, 7:56. Okay, we got to go downstairs. Justin's coming on. We got to listen to.
Maybe Ev likes when Justin speaks French.
I don't think anyone in our house is that happy with the prime minister right now. I'm upset. I feel upset that we aren't that we haven't already had stricter sanctions and guidelines on how to behave as businesses, as individuals. I think it's been left way too optional. This people coming in internationally that we've allowed for so long, that have been just told to self-isolate, whether they have, whether they haven't, has been completely up to them. And I think it's just unfair to those who are taking this seriously. And I have taken a serious stance on the issue, and I've made business decisions accordingly. And we will all have tough economic fallout because of a shutdown. And now I fear that this will be months versus what could have been a 3-week shutdown.
It's vagueness, and that's what I think is making everyone. I don't think it's just a Canadian problem. I think it's a North American problem.
Of course.
I don't need to talk about that
The Orange Man.
I don't need to talk about him, but I think it's a vagueness because can you defer your mortgage? Well, you can, but then how much are you going to be left paying at the end? And can you do this? And then what's the interest incurrence? And it just would be easier to have everything in black and white. And first it was everyone gets EI, and then it was well, now you have to apply, and there's 3 different places to apply. So again, I don't think it's terrible, but I just think it's vague. Everything is vague.
And I think he is doing a lot of very humane things. Canada always takes a very ethical standpoint, and I really commend our country for that. I just think this is a little bit, we're watching these other countries have this fallout right in front of our eyes. And what is it going to take? Do we have to get there?
The U.S. is having a fallout right in front of our eyes.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, granted, they have 330 million people, but math is math.
Our borders were open longer than theirs were. Right? And there was I read a story on Twitter, so very, very credible, about a lady. Actually, sorry, it was on Global. And there was a lady that landed at Toronto Pearson 3 days ago and died within 48 hours of COVID-19. And she was not tested or screened when she landed at Toronto Pearson. Well, you tell me how it is almost April and we aren't screening at airports.
How do we not have enough tests? That's the main issue, I think, too. How do we?
I know.
Because in South Korea, they just you lined up and you got tested, and you also got your results back very, very quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, the U.S. has implemented these wonderful drive-through concepts. So
that's what South Korea did,
and I think China had done it as well. And it's I feel like we're sitting ducks. And granted, that's probably because I just don't see the workings in the background. I'm trying to stay positive. But it's hard when you have all this time on your hands watching the news and watching it and seeing, I still see businesses open.
Oh,
I still see non-essential businesses open.
it makes me mad.
I had to go to the grocery store the other day, and I went to a smaller locally owned grocer, and I saw the owner, and I actually went up to her and I was like, thank you. Like, because the other flip side is the essential businesses that are staying open that are losing employees every single day. That breaks my heart too, because she's like, I've worked 7 days this week. She had her kids working to help stock shelves, to keep them stocked so that we can keep food on the table at
Were
home.
you at Moreno's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
We've been visiting there quite often.
Yeah. And I felt really bad for the owner for a moment. And I was like, the flip side for me at running a non-essential business is I'm like, this is really hard economically because I feel insensitive pushing non-essential products to anybody that might be at financial hardship or it's non-essential. So we should close our doors and we should do the responsible thing. We should stay home and quarantine just as everybody else. But then the essential side is they have turnover. Their employees don't want to work. They have to open. I don't know. Yeah.
I feel like they need to put in a penalty for the self-quarantine. If you're going to let everybody make their own decision whether they should do it or not, or what's important to them or what's not, it needs to be black and white, and there needs to be a penalty so people start following it, because it's the only thing that's going to shut this virus down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe having a stricter guideline too on like what is essential services and what isn't, because personally I feel some of the essential services they deemed, they're not necessarily essential. It keeps like
The economy growing.
it keeps the economy growing, but at what expense?
Did you read this article? It was released today about the Diamond Princess ship, because it's actually the only controlled study that anyone could do on COVID-19, right? Because there's all these people in a ship, 700 passengers got it or whatever it was. They tested the ship 17 days after everyone left, they found that there were surfaces that still contained the virus 17 days later. But get this, 17.9% of people that tested positive were completely asymptomatic and never developed symptoms.
Wow.
So here's the problem is you could have zero symptoms, never go to the doctor, never get tested, and pass it on to 6 people. So I feel like the only way to do this is everyone gets tested.
I know.
And then we deal with the numbers and what they are.
There was somebody speaking on CNN about this yesterday, and he's like, what if we found out when we tested everybody that 40 or 50% of the population has already had it?
Yeah.
There goes that risk.
Yeah. Taiwan's living completely normally. I don't know if you've seen the study. They were the SARS outbreak, but they had everything prepared for a pandemic. And the kids are still in school, and they have these like plastic dividers that they put up. Everyone has to wear a mask and gloves unless they're at home. Everyone gets temperature checked before they go in and out of schools. And they have if you look on the map, they're very slowly. There's like cases like you'd see with the flu, like it's or less. It's so slowly climbing. I read this whole article on it yesterday. I was fascinated. Not that I'm saying we're not prepared for that here, but shouldn't we? Now, this is one thing. Shouldn't we all be? Matt Damon made Contagion 9 years ago.
We should be. I mean, I think it's socially irresponsible if we're not. But that won't make this a complaint podcast.
Alas.
The purpose of this podcast is actually to be, it's more focused for the small business owners, or was that cringe at me, Karen?
My coffee's cold.
Oh,
and it's not booze.
or if you run more of a brick and mortar style business, how do you step into the digital space? Or if you're in there, but you're not having a lot of returns, how can you do it better? Because a lot of businesses, brick and mortar or not, are suddenly at a tipping point where the only way to do business is digitally. So this is a podcast about digital marketing and how to effectively step into that space. If you're not already doing that, or maybe there's something, 1 or 2 takeaways that you can add to your business that will make you thrive. And so I think it should be helpful and positive.
Yes. Now that we've got our complaints out of the way.
Oh, there will be more complaints through the podcast.
There might
Stay
be.
tuned for that.
Let's try and not talk about COVID-19.
Every time we say COVID-19, take a drink. Unless you're driving, but you shouldn't be. You should be at home.
Katie, what's your boss or bust?
I have a bossy moment for the last couple weeks here. I've been working on the web a lot lately, and I felt the need after we closed down Coquitlam to make like a blowout section on there just for products that we have maybe one style, like one size left of a style, or it's from a couple seasons ago.
The scragglers.
Yeah. I've got a couple rolling racks in the back offices here that I like to look at every day. So I kind of wanted to just clear them out, putting them at a severely discounted price. But it took and then when I started digging around in the back end, there was just so much organization to be done. And I didn't really think of myself as an OCD person until I jumped into this task, and then it got super out of hand. So I've spent a lot of time and dedication on that. And I can happily say I look at it now and I feel like there's been a lot of improvement.
Kind of like forecasting almost what we've gone through.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we took this huge, I'm going to roll this into my boss or bust and kind of relate to you, because we took this stance that we've talked about on the podcast with strategically downsizing and being more digitally focused and less about our brick and mortar stores. We chose to close two of our mall stores, and Katie and I a few times this week have just had real extreme moments of gratitude for those decisions that we've made, that now I feel like a lot of businesses are facing the same decision. And I guess I'm just glad to be on the other side of it. And I feel like I'm having a bit of a boss moment where I have clarity on the future of the business.
It's like you had a crystal ball.
A little bit. And I feel like our digital strategy has become very crystal clear for me. And it wasn't maybe 8-9 months ago. So Katie, I feel like you working on the back end of the web and like taking that time was almost preemptive to what we needed, because we still have a selling channel. We still have like a thriving channel where we can move our products, and we have a system that is in place that was not in place that works to get product from us onto the site quickly, effectively. And it's working.
You might say we're a well-oiled machine.
You might say so.
One might say that.
One might say.
One might.
I don't know. Maybe Zydeco said that one time.
Maybe.
So that's my boss. Karen, what about you?
My boss is that I compared the money that we were spending last month versus this month eating out. And the number, we are saving a lot of money, and it really opened our eyes to how much money we were spending just on dumb things that we didn't need to, right? Like, I think going out for dinner with your friends is important and having those nights out, but I probably didn't need to go for full 3 days in 1 week. Like, I know that it's close to my house and I'm lazy, but then I probably also will pay the bill because it's like $10 for the other person, but that's like $60 in a week just on something that I could have literally made at home.
For like 99 cents too.
For 99 cents, yeah. Even if I got the shirataki noodles, which are my favorite noodles.
I'm going to make you feel better though for a minute.
Okay, please.
When you're out in public, you get free toilet paper. And when you're at home, you have to fight for it at grocery stores and pay for it.
This is true.
So that expense you can work.
I will write it off. That being said, Ryan and I did but now having we didn't really have a clear budget of what we were spending. But now we're like, okay, yeah. So when we want to go grab a dinner, Sammy's is offering family dinners where we can just go pick it up, or another local restaurant, we can just go pick up dinner. And we know that's $60 and feeds our whole family, not $60 on Coors Lights for me at happy hour, which I've done before.
I mean, I've never drank $60 in Coors Lights.
It's usually more like 120.
At Sammy's.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. I just was like, it was really eye-opening to me. And then I think...
that was sarcasm, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think coming back, when the world returns to normal, like you were saying earlier, I don't know that we'll all make those same decisions.
I agree.
I truly believe that things will be different after this.
I was thinking too, I went and did a pickup order for like family from I've raved about Peppino's Italian restaurant.
Yeah, thanks for taking my order. I had to catch you in the act.
Peppino's Spaghetti House downtown, and they have a cafe where they sell their sauces and their freshly made pastas, etc. And so I did a takeout order for myself and a bunch of friends as well, Katie included. Sorry, Karen.
I literally FaceTimed her
just
yesterday.
check my text.
And I was like, where are you?
Yep, don't see a text.
But she has her face so close to her phone where I'm like, kind of like, are you at home? And then she like moved a little bit. I'm like, you're not at home. Where are you?
Don't rat me out. Okay, the vodka rosé is unfucking believable. That is worth the explicit rating on this podcast. And I'm pregnant and I needed it. Okay. It was essential. It was an essential item.
Did you let your kids have it, or were you like, no?
I haven't made it yet,
You get
actually. I just have it
Classico.
at home, but it's so amazing. So if you guys want to support a local business and they are doing takeout, and I believe they're doing delivery in the downtown area. It's Cafe Latana. It's, if you call Peppino's Spaghetti House, it will direct you to that number, I believe. But I felt really good, supporting a local business and doing takeout. And I feel like that's a real treat. But the point I was trying to make is that they were selling their wine for cost as well. And I was going to grab a bottle that I had a really nice Barolo when I had dined in before. I was going to get it for Ev. And then she's like, it's cost. It's really nice wine. It's $75 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, but like I was spending like $400 on pasta already. So I was like, I don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't like a necessity, and I'm pregnant, so I'm not going to get to enjoy it anyway. So I was like, I'll put it back. And I did. But then I was thinking that if I sat down at a restaurant and ordered a $75 bottle of wine, I wouldn't think twice about it. Like I wouldn't even flinch. I'd be like, oh yeah, it's probably at that point one of the more affordable wines on the menu sometimes. Yeah. And so you're thinking about going to restaurants and alcohol at restaurants and the cost of, we really like wrap that up as a necessity in our lives.
Yeah.
And it so isn't.
And rather than, Ryan and I have played a lot of cards. I know Katie has too, but
Same.
like, when was the last time you did that? Like just hung out? And because I always, okay, this is totally getting off topic, but I've spent the majority of the last year of my life feeling busy and behind on life.
Me too.
And my priorities haven't really changed that much. I'm still doing 98% of the same work, but for some reason I'm able to do it now at 98% less stress. And don't you feel like that's because energy is energy? Like the world, like we're all these little molecules spinning and we all go to the highest thing, and now we're forced to calm, that all of us are able to exhale.
Don't you feel though like there's an extreme weight off your shoulders?
Yes.
Of what is everyone else doing that I'm not doing? For me, I struggle a lot with that on like things like social media, but more centric around business. Like, what is that business doing? What is that business doing? Because I'm so motivated to a fault that I'm really like, I struggle with when to turn that off and how to turn that off.
One of us has ever been prepared for this in this world, in this digital world. There's no plan, there's no school, there's no special marketing course that you took. Not one person was prepared for this. And so I feel like the calmness you feel is because you're trailblazing a little bit.
Wow, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
You're welcome.
I feel like I'm enjoying social media because people are putting their real lives on it. I'm seeing what people are cooking. I'm seeing what people are doing with their families. I'm seeing like people looking not very good. They're not wearing makeup. Their hairs are in a ponytail. Their hair's everywhere. Like they haven't showered in days. Like I'm feeling this like relatable realness on social media, and instead of like what I'm doing for work.
Yes.
And I love that quote about if you want to be better than 1,000, work harder than 1,000 in front of nobody. Because you don't need to be showboating all the time.
I legit had a conference call yesterday, and I was like, came out and they were like, can we just quickly hop on a video conference? I was like, okay. I'm in bed. I'm in my out of bounds PJ set. My hair's in a ponytail, my blue light glasses on. I'm in under the covers, but I'm working. And I was like, I don't fucking care. Yep. And I turned it on, and we all looked like shit.
It's
and
so funny.
There was no difference between the work that we had done 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when we all looked pretty at our computers, and yesterday when we were there was no difference, except I felt calmer and was much more comfortable and happy. But anyways, yeah.
Okay. So can I take that, because we've been talking about social media and that and realness, and take it to my current obsessions, which is John Mayer's Instagram lives.
I love them.
Have you guys watched them?
No, I haven't.
I highly recommend it.
So
He
good.
is so funny. He has added another segment. He does this typical current mood podcast where he has this like cheesy backdrop with like a rainbow and it says like current mood. And he's added another one where now it's like a nighttime backdrop, but he has tea and it's like an outdoor scene. And he's like, I did this new backdrop because it's outdoors.
You know
and we
it's in
don't
his
get to go
house,
outdoors.
right?
Oh, yeah. It's like a print.
He if you watch how he developed it, he literally was like, yeah, I thought I'd do it, and then all of a sudden I had like people building me a stage in my house. He was like, I guess this is what we're doing now.
It's so funny.
Yeah, he's very funny.
Like I enjoy it a little bit too much. Like,
do you have a crush on him now?
Did I have I had a crush on him for the last 20 years?
Is his body a wonderland?
I love him on an inappropriate level.
Oh.
Let's put it that way.
His dry sense of humor is awesome.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
And he's like just like something so simple, like he's reading the ingredients of the lemon tea he's drinking. He's like, funny, lots of ingredients. I didn't know that there were that many types of lemons. So funny. You guys have to watch. Katie, what's your current obsession?
My current obsession is definitely card games right now.
Who's winning?
Kevin kicks my ass all the time.
Katie's,
everything. It's
Katie started a spreadsheet for who's winning.
Yeah, so I started recording all of the different games we play in different tabs on a spreadsheet called Quarantine Card Games. And at the end of this, we're going to see who the real winner is. But it's one of those weird things where they always say like boys are just naturally good at everything or whatnot. But like, honestly, what was it? 8 months ago, we were at a soccer field and I was like, you want to race? Thinking like, I totally have this in the bag. There is no way that he could beat me in a short distance race. Kicks my ass. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Same thing with cards. Like crib. Yes, you need to know how to play. I know how to play very well. I miss a couple 15s when there's multiple cards involved.
Numbers have never been your strong suit.
It's luck of the draw of the cards, and he still like, kicks my ass every time.
I have never beat Ev at Monopoly. He will beat me 100% of the time, and it pisses me off to the core.
I feel like you shouldn't play Monopoly because we might show up one day and all of them are outside your house lit on fire.
I'm too nice. That's why. He's like, do you want to make a deal? And then I make the deal, and it's all, I should never, ever make a deal with him.
Have you played Cash Flow with Ev?
No.
You should do it.
I'm not. Cash flows that's a scary word for me.
It reminds me of that time he convinced me, and we were a lot younger, to trade him the couch for the TV. It was a bad deal. It was a very bad deal.
Who got the TV?
Donnie was moving out. They just bought their first townhouse, and I had the couch, and they had the shitty TV that they knew they weren't going to use.
You needed a couch.
They convinced me to trade them, and like shortly after, I was like, that was a bad deal.
That is a bad deal.
Yeah, we got you.
He's very convincing.
Karen, what's your current obsession?
Can I have two?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Well, I'm going to have two anyway. Boxed wine.
So affordable.
Yes. And also, less people have touched it. I felt like when we went and stocked up,
And it
felt
stays
really
fresh.
safe for up to 6 weeks. We didn't need 6 weeks. We're on our second box. And I just gave up with like White Claws and stuff. We're just straight vodka and gin. For sure going to gain 10 pounds. But anyways, and also this hoodie. This is the Big Sister hooded sweater. Is that correct?
The Babes Supporting Babes
Babes
one.
Supporting Babes. I have it in black and pink. And I every day just alternate between which color I'm going to wear.
I have the zip version of that, and I wear it. Like,
Yeah.
it's at my back door because it's the hoodie I put on when I go outside.
I'm just like, I'll wake up in the morning and I still have my pajamas on, and then I'll just like put this over top.
And you're like, I'm dressed.
And I'm like, I'm dressed. Like, so I was wearing my out of bounds set, and I just wake up and I put this on, and then I go sit outside and have coffee. And I'm like,
Sounds lovely.
I'm warm, but my legs are out or whatever. But I'm like, it's just, every time I wear it, people are like, I need that sweater. But I feel it's like it is my quarantine sweater. I will pass this down to my
I wonder
grandchildren.
if you'll wear that after the quarantine.
I wonder.
Or is it like one of those things like after you're pregnant, you
Yeah.
just completely donate everything because you're like, I cannot wear this
The
one more
biggest
time.
myth. You're like, I'll buy this because I can still wear it after I'm pregnant, but then all you really want to do is light it on fire.
Yes. Very true.
Okay, let's get into our topic because we have like a really long outline. How long are we at already, Katie?
25.
Okay, so if we are getting too long, we might turn this into a 2-part because I feel like it's really important to talk about digital strategies. And I know a lot of local, like people who are in the same industry as me, local boutiques. I really have like a big place in my heart for those type of businesses because that's like where I started. And some of them don't even have online platforms. They might have a social media presence, but they probably might not have an online store, or they do, but it's a small part of their business. It's not a big part of their business. And right now there's been this like huge tip past the tip, not a tipping point. It's like literally, it's like tipped onto your head.
Yeah.
Where all you have is your social media and your web. And what does that look like? And so there's so many things I've learned along the way. And Karen, our resident expert on this, on our team, has so much to offer. But I also don't want people making the same mistakes we made.
Yeah.
Like you could go hire an agency and lose your shirt completely. There's a lot you can do with a little bit and some effort, right?
Yeah. And I think, not to say that some people, not to say anything bad about agencies, but I think
you are
that
an agency, so I'm sorry about that comment.
but I'm boutique. I'm like, I have like a couple people that work for me and everyone's a self-contractor. But I think that in business, hiring, like contracting out whatever you can is the smartest decision you can make, which is what you did.
Which is what I did. Yeah. So I took it back from, I had 28, maybe 30 employees plus some subcontractors.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And now I'm like predominantly subcontracted with like, there's like 3 of us in the office.
Yeah.
So it's like dramatically different, and it's operating so much more smoothly.
Because you don't have to play the telephone game with anybody.
I think like just the employee stress is so much less. And I also feel like it's almost easier to hold someone who's subcontracted accountable. You're not having like a 3-month review. You're reviewing it all the time, and you're talking about it. And they have they share your hustle, I think, a little bit more.
They do. Well, because they're hustling for money, right? Too. Just like an employee no one that works here is this person. I feel like I need to state. But like as an employee, sometimes you can just do the bare minimum and like get along. And I know that had happened here previously with some people. But to have employees that are just as passionate about you are about your business is like, if someone wasn't as passionate about me, I'd be like, get out.
Well, it comes back to like when you have that many employees, like, are you babysitting?
Yeah.
You know, you shouldn't, people are in these roles. You should do your role. You shouldn't have to constantly be checking up and making sure people are doing it. But I feel like when you get to that size of business,
it's hard to make sure all the parts are operating at 100%.
And sometimes it's hard to figure out what part isn't operating when there's that many.
Oh, that's the hardest part. Find the bleed. Katie used a terminology this morning. She goes, we stopped the bleeding. Now we just got to clot a few things.
You come in and you're like, you're the biggest waffler I know, and it's not a bad thing at all. I actually think it's like an asset for you because you never close a door. You always keep all your options open, and you always have like 6 exit plans or 6 ways to move forward, and I appreciate that about you. But like this morning you come in and like there's all of these positive things about what we've done with the company that have got us to like a more secure spot than most companies right now.
Yeah, I agree.
And where was I going with that?
I think you were going to say like I laid some stress on you maybe with the conversation that we had, because I came in a little bit stressed.
Yeah, I just feel like I have to remind you a lot of like the good, but you're just bringing ideas to the table that you add stress where it doesn't need to happen sometimes.
You are kind of my filtration though. Like I kind of just like dump it all, and then you kind of make sense of that for me in a lot of ways. But probably because you're my sister, I do that a lot more than if it was somebody else.
So this is what I was thinking about from 3 till 6 a.m.
And I waited till 6 a.m. to call you.
Yeah.
I always do feel better after I talk to you though. So I feel like there is some rationale there that came out of that conversation.
She's your number 2.
Yeah. I'm working on my waffling.
I thought I was your number one.
She's your if she's the number one, wouldn't you be the number two? I don't know how it works.
Okay, so if you are facing a digital crisis right now and you feel like you don't know what to do because your doors are closed,
Which should be everybody.
that's something I don't think anyone ever predicted happening out of this whole thing. It didn't cross my mind even one time ever. My bread and butter has always been my storefront, and that's like my safekeeping. Like no matter what, I have this, and it's pretty stable. I can pretty much tell you what I'm going to sell in a month, and it gives me a lot of security. Wow, now that has changed. I don't have a door open. What are you doing? A lot of companies, like we decided this week to offer curbside pickup and free online delivery. So that's easy. We have a digital platform. But what if you don't have that? How do you start selling online when you are not currently selling online? Karen.
I think the first thing that everyone needs to do right now is stop and listen to their customers. I'm seeing what a lot of people are doing is one, not acknowledging what's going on in the world right now, which I think is weird. Or two, just sales as normal. Product, sales. And so what I would say is stop and look at the stories that your customers are putting out. Look at what are they interacting with their friends about it. You have to take a little bit of time and dive into what your customer needs right now, because I guarantee what they don't want to do is just see sales all day long. Or there's that book by Gary Vaynerchuk, the jab, uppercut and left hook or whatever. And I feel like right now a lot of companies are defaulting to uppercut, left hook. Let's just talk more about buying things and it'll work when it won't. Your customers are probably stressed about money. So I think the best thing you can do is meet them where they're at and communicate. So content is going to be king. You have to talk about how your customers are feeling. You have to assure them. You have to relate to them. You have to make sure that you're on the same level as them. So the best way I could say it is like, imagine you're at a dinner party with Paul, the businessman, and Paul talks all about Paul the whole time. And at the end of the night, on the ride home, you say to your husband, I never want to go back there again because that guy is pompous and it was terrible. Whereas if you sat down at Paul's table and Paul said, how are you doing? And you said, I'm well. It's a completely different conversation. And then if Paul talked a little bit about his business that night and there was a product or service he offered that was interesting to you, you'd be more inclined to ask him about it and maybe to support Paul. But
100%. And especially in times of pain. Like if I have like an internal dilemma or a painful situation going on, if I don't release that or feel like I'm heard, I'm basically cycling on that in my mind the entire time anyways.
Yeah. Yep. So what we're doing at Privilege is spending a little bit more time on quotes and memes. And by no stretch do I think that COVID-19 is funny. But we're mostly memeing about moms trying to stay home with your kids.
Yeah.
And we're inspirational quotes. We're connecting with our clients. Our content has gone from like, hey, shop now to like, we're all going to be home for 3 months and our pajamas are on sale. And here you go. It's comfy, it's relaxing, they're going to make you feel good and look good. Or today we posted one about buy this beautiful dress for when you can come out of quarantine and have brunch with your friends. Like I think you have to really be honest about what's going on right now.
Another thing that you've said, can they afford your product or service right now?
Mm-hmm.
And what are they looking for?
Yeah.
That really spoke to me too. And very quickly we were like, I think Katie was like, we need to do the blowout.
Mm-hmm.
This is the perfect time because they might not be able to afford the full price item at this point in time. People are shifting, but they still might need something comfy. Yeah. They might not. We anticipated pretty quickly that sales were probably going to go down substantially, which I think everybody's seen. But how do we do this in a sensible way that's not an uppercut?
We're still entrepreneurs. And we're not Mother Teresa, but there's somewhere in the middle that I think we can exist during all of this that shows compassion and caring about other human beings, but still at the end of the day doesn't put all of us out of work. I think that we still have a great service. I think that, or a great product. I think that people love getting a gift of our PRIV pajamas. I know I do. And I think that you did the smartest thing you did was lower the price points, put the 30% off. Let's give free shipping. Let's do whatever we can to meet the consumer where they're at, rather than come on up to me and be elitist. You were like, no, we're here. We're doing everything. We're the same as you. We're all doing everything that we can to survive through this time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of give and take for a long time with wholesale and retail, lowering everyone taking a little bit less so people can afford it.
And that's a silver lining, because I have personally felt, and I'm sure a lot of people relate to this, that life has been a lot of it unsustainable, unaffordable. People are really strapped. People don't have savings like they maybe should, because they're overextended, or they live on a credit card. They live beyond their means. They're out and about way too often. Like, maybe this is a wake-up call that we need to start living within those means. And the flip side of that is maybe there will be more competitive and affordable products on the market.
Yeah.
And that will be good for consumers.
Yes.
And younger people, so that they can buy property and they can get their foot in the door. And maybe even housing is going to go down. I suspect it will. And, all those millennials can finally afford to buy something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's all very far-fetched right now, but there will be a silver lining, and we have to be hopeful of that.
There already has been. The world is healing itself, and Mother Nature is healing itself. And actually, yesterday I had this moment where there's this app called House Party, which should have been
I went
my
on it. I
obsession.
downloaded it yesterday too.
Okay, first of all, that app apparently is really old.
Stop.
Amber,
Well, they're printing money now.
Amber, my 22-year-old niece, is like, I was on that app when I was in grade 10.
Okay, so this is the greatest app ever, and they are now probably making a lot of money. But last night, my dad, who is 69 and has all the,
I saw he added me as a friend.
he has
I actually
all
was
the
thinking
things.
we should do a house party for Priv Talks.
We should. So fun, right? We
So-
could screen record it.
It would be so fun to actually engage with our listeners.
Yes.
And I feel like we should plan it, but I want to know people are going to come to our house party. So
Oh, that would be fun. Or even just have like a house party room of Priv Talks, where it's just a bunch of moms that look like crap that are maybe
you
drinking a
can't look
box of
good.
wine.
This is like
Yeah.
mandatory.
Take your makeup off.
Yeah.
Take your makeup off, Karen with an E. Nobody invited you here. Just kidding.
You know what I think I'm going to implement on the note of looking like crap? Is we always did date night when we were allowed to go out into the world. What about like a date night in your house where you actually do your hair and put on a dress and make a nice
Aw, I
dinner and
love
sit down
it.
and have a bottle of wine?
What do we do with our
Harris did that
kids?
yesterday,
Chain
and
them
I
up?
watched it.
Put them on house party?
This is
Well, they could come
coming
to the date,
This is coming from a split family.
but maybe the kids want to dress up too, and
Yeah.
be part of it and help serve. And
That would be cute. Okay, so my dad, 69-year-old dad, who is self-quarantining because he has a lot of risk factors, and we haven't seen him in almost a month, maybe longer. He also just got out of the hospital not too long ago, so he's like needs to be at home. Was on house party with my niece, who is in Florida, and Kiana, my daughter, so his two granddaughters, and they were playing games together. And I was like, that would never have happened, ever.
I downloaded House Party yesterday, got online with my people in my house party, so popular, and instantly Riley, your daughter, just pops
in.
on.
Yeah,
And I'm
the
like,
best
oh my
part
gosh,
about
my 8-year-old niece is on here too.
everyone.
So
Oh, you got to lock your room to keep her out. She'll pop into
Yeah.
any room.
I
Hey,
have
what's
to.
up?
I have to lock Kiana out too.
Okay, let's
'Kay.
get back on track. We have so much to go through. Okay, so we've talked about listening to your customer. What do they want? So you're being more direct, and you're lessening. Like, don't waste your time marketing something that isn't going to sell anyway. So have an honest conversation with yourself.
Throw away any cute captions that you think are awesome. Just crumple up that piece of paper. If you have a scheduling system, cross them all out. And go, if you are not a content writer, find someone on your team that knows how to write real, honest paragraphs of writing, and have them go connect with people.
Yeah.
Because
100%. And also, like, we had a ton of cute dresses come in.
yeah,
We've pushed probably one of them because, truthfully, people don't need it. People do not need it right now. I actually have taken I did some try-ons at home, and I've tried them all on, and I know what I'm taking, and I'm super excited about it, and they're all on the web. If you are, for some reason, looking for a cute dress, you want to stock up before they're gone. But truthfully, I'm not going to market that because it, A, makes me look like an asshole, And it makes me look like I don't know what my customer is doing because they're all doing the same thing that I'm doing.
They're all
And I
quarantining.
definitely am not wearing that dress, and I don't need that dress.
Yeah.
So,
But if you want it for summer,
yeah.
buy it now at 30% off.
I mean, yeah, truthfully.
No, I know what you're saying. Okay, so another thing, and this is something Donnie's going to send out later today, is share a letter from the CEO or the founder of the company that doesn't say you should buy something. Something that just says like, and not we're closed, and not this is our hours, and not anything about anything except for you're a human being and I'm a human being, and this is insane and it's surreal, and we're going to get through this together. And then have somewhere where you can direct them to connect with you. So for us, we have like PRIV Talks Instagram, we have our PRIV Talks Facebook page. So somewhere that you can take those people and connect them back to you so that we can start a real honest conversation.
Yeah, I think the personal connection is really important.
Logistically though, right? Oh no, I guess, yeah, we need to be high touch and not high tech right now. You need to be a balance of both. I feel like the world has been all high tech. What cool apps do we have? What cool things do we do? How can we make something better and faster and easier? Blah, blah, blah.
Taking this time to connect with your consumer and make a relationship rather than just sell.
Yeah. Like, are you sending direct messages to people? Are you sending direct messages to the people who interact most with you on social media saying like, thank you?
Yeah.
And maybe right now you can't offer a huge discount code or lots of free product because obviously margins, but maybe that person's name goes into a spreadsheet. And when we all, walk out from here 3 months, 2 months, 3 months, I don't know, from now, that's someone you send a thank you card to, or a box, or a $25 gift card to your store.
When I see an online order come in, I feel in my heart like, thank you so much for supporting us, because we need the support more than ever right now. And we made sure that personal messages went out with every order that went out yesterday.
Yeah.
And I don't know when they'll come
important.
again.
Yeah.
Like, truthfully, it's just so unknown. And I just appreciate those connections so much more than I ever did.
Yeah.
Not that I didn't appreciate them before, but you do take things for granted when you're in the busy and you have high quotas to make, and you stop looking at every single person.
Yeah. And if you look at the way that stores used to operate, everyone that walked in, they'd be like, hey, Gladys, hey, Frank, hey, like everyone knew everyone's
Personal.
name. Everything was personal. Oh, did you want, look, I have 3 pieces that I pulled for you because I thought they would look perfect. And because we were in this busy, you just don't have that time anymore, but we have the time now. And we have the time to develop new habits so that when everything goes back again and the world starts spinning, we can make sure that we keep those same fundamental values that we learned during this time.
It's scary. It's scary, the thought of the world going back to be as fast as it was.
I don't think it will. I don't think it can.
Okay, so high touch and not high tech. I actually love that.
There's a balance, but I think that it, like you said, the scale has completely fallen on its head. Because
I always think of the tipping point. I'm like, at what point does my business become where brick and mortar is not important anymore and it's purely web? And I've been planning for this for the last 5 years. And then all of a sudden it has tipped completely over. And I was like, oh, there's the tipping point.
I thought it would be a little slower, but here we are.
Here we are.
Yes. So some like logistical things though, I think for businesses is that if you don't, this is something we talked about, businesses that don't have shoppable, they don't have a website, or their website doesn't have the ability to get money, or they don't have the money to invest in a website. We didn't hire a huge web team, right? Like Katie fumbled until she met, like now it looks amazing.
Well, we've been through a few, to be honest. When I first started, I did hire a huge web team.
Yep.
Then I redid it and hired another web team. Web teams can be an absolute nightmare as well.
Really good at taking deposits.
You can build an amazing website on Squarespace or Shopify. We use BigCommerce, but there are amazing $30 platforms that are very DIY, that are as easy as operating a Facebook page. And there are very technical add-ons that you can buy through the App Store. And I highly recommend, I would actually say, do not build a custom site. I would highly speak against it. I would simplify, but I even think aside from that, you've made some really important notes here on catalogs on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah. Something that people just didn't think they had to do before because their store was busy, or they would post on Instagram and someone would call and come pick it up in the store or whatever. But it takes, if you Google Facebook catalog manager, how to, up Facebook will pop a step-by-step. This is where you click. This is where you set it up. This is how you get your pixel synced. If your pixel's not working, you can manually upload each product. It might seem time consuming, but we all have time. Then you have to get it approved. Usually it takes a day or two. Give Facebook some grace. They also are bare bones staff. So I'd say what used to take a day or two might take 7 to 10 days now. And once it's approved, you can tag items on your Instagram. Your Instagram is now shoppable, right? And something that if you didn't have the time to do now, you need to do it. Like it's, if you want to sell products and you want to have an online presence, it should be your number one priority.
Do you think there's even less pressure on even having a web page? Like you could
Yes.
just operate just through social media shops.
Yes.
Like make a Facebook shop.
Instagram was supposed to be making this year Instagram landing pages. They're not approved. This is around. It's just not approved for everybody yet, where Instagram will ideally become your store for free. So again, I think if you already have a website and it's working,
wonderful. Make sure it's integrated through to your social.
Big fan of Shopify, even though I know we do big commerce, but that was
I wish I was on Shopify, but the task of switching it over at this point is very great. We have thousands of SKUs on our site.
Yeah.
So we are not doing that at any time in the near future. Wow, these words are so hard today. We're not doing that anytime in the near future. But I question whether we even will need that in the future or whether it will completely be social shopping.
Or Shopify and Instagram will become one. They'll have a whole different platform together called like Instagramify, which is terrible, but you know what I mean. Shopagram. Trademarked, you owe me money, Mark Zuckerberg, if you use that. But something that is simple and easy for people to set up. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's what his coding team and everyone is working on now.
I also want to add Squarespace is a very simplistic site.
I built one.
I've never worked on Squarespace, but I have heard from a lot of credible entrepreneurs that they have like very, very viable sites that run on that platform. Mm-hmm. And a beautiful thing about Squarespace and something that we haven't talked about yet is how difficult photography. Wow, that was a tough one. Good photography is really quite important.
Yeah.
Squarespace has a service where you can ship them your product, pay them $10, and they will give you crisp photos on a white background.
So good.
And they're amazing.
Yeah.
That's such an affordable way to get your products online.
Yeah.
So that's one option. If you are literally self-employed, you are at home, you don't have much resources for photography or anything like that, go Squarespace. Hire that out.
Yeah. Squarespace. I built a Squarespace website once and it took me 24 hours. If you don't have images, you can go to unsplash.com, pixabay.com, Pexels, Burst by Shopify, and that's all free high-res images that you can use. And they're free and you can use them on your website.
All your secrets, Karen.
Hey. But those are some places if you need to build something in the hurry, like we need to get this done, then go do it. I think now is not the time to be perfect. Now is the time to be effective.
80%. Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction.
That's right.
And also, you might not be reinventing the wheel anyways. If you can't take better photography than what is already provided to you, why even waste a minute doing it?
Mm-hmm.
Use what you have.
Use what you have. Go take your iPhone and go to the backyard.
I see that stops a lot of entrepreneurs because they maybe haven't done a site because they just don't think they can do it perfectly yet, or they think it's going to be a $10,000 investment, and it doesn't have to be. You can work within your means and have a site that you can grow with. Yep. And with Shopify, there's a ton of add-on abilities. And then, you get to this point where you do Shopify Plus and, they have all these other things. But if you just basically started with your Facebook catalog and you used Facebook marketing, you could build a global business.
Yes. And people have, right? Like this is not something that has never been done. People have started huge businesses with nothing except for dream and a drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
a dream and a drive.
A dream and a drive.
Okay. You had made a note about affiliates. That's probably a great point to touch on.
Yes, I think, and this is something I know a lot of businesses have wanted to get into with influencer marketing, and influencer marketing is down right now. So there's I was reading a whole study on it yesterday. A girl that was used to making 500 grand a year is trending to make 50 grand a year right now. But there is going to be a lot of people who, when companies need to pull back, one of the first things they're going to pull back on is marketing dollars and where those marketing dollars need to be spent. So I think if you have a product or a service and you can work with affiliates, which is anyone that has 5,000 to 5 million people on Instagram, I would stick with 5,000 to 25,000. What?
I hear something out front.
Oh, it's just a ghost that
Yeah,
lives
the
here.
doors are locked. It's just Gordon the ghost.
Sounded like Riley. Okay.
We can edit this out. Now you have to. Oh, no, you're not going to.
She won't.
She's like, and no. Anyways.
And take two.
And take two. If you can connect with those people and offer them a percentage back of sales for promoting your products, one, you're stimulating the economy because there is a lot of moms at home that have left jobs previously to do this that are now facing a husband with unemployment, them now bringing in half the revenue or 25% of the revenue they were bringing in. And if you have a product or service, one, it's a great way to get your product marketed. And two, it's a great way to help people not lose their houses.
And there are digital platforms for this.
Yes.
Reward Style is a huge one. They're like to know it.
Yep.
Super effective, really high click-throughs. That's something you could integrate with. But there are others.
Even if you wanted to give someone a code and track it and do it yourself.
Absolutely.
If you don't have a big company,
That's right.
Just give someone a code. It's Karen 15. Everyone saves 15% off, and that girl gets a 5 or 10% kickback of everything that gets sold.
Yeah, and there's apps you can integrate through Shop. We will be implementing one this week, actually, to make our affiliate program more personal.
Yes. So if we'll link those somewhere, right? And maybe in PRIV Talks, we'll have some sort of like a working document during this time, like somewhere where we can link things for people to go get resources.
We should do that.
I just made that up. So I was looking at Donnie with my question eyes.
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah, we're going to do that. We'll make a file.
Well, I feel like there's a lot of information in here.
Yeah.
And people should be making notes, but you might not be making notes while you're driving or trying to keep your kids alive.
Good idea.
Okay, your next point on here, which is go live for an Ask Me Anything. I went live the other day for the first time, and it was terrifying for me. And I podcast, and I'm incredibly social, and I have spoken on panels.
You were
at
very
events.
quiet.
And
for you.
It was also Miriam's Instagram live.
That's
So
right.
I feel like I didn't want to take over and bombard the conversation.
That was nice of you.
But this is something that I think could be so scary for entrepreneurs to say, and we've done it through Privilege a couple times now as shopping experiences and ways to connect with I think it's more important than ever to integrate live somehow into your business. But I also think it's equally terrifying for a lot of people.
Yes. Zydeco did such a good job.
I think he did an amazing job. He was quite nervous going into it. But I think he did a great job. And I think it was a lot more than just posting and putting it in your face. Like we had such a great response from it that people were buying things. Oh, I didn't realize that he showed a raincoat and how it had the venting in it. Things that you don't see on your web that makes a piece of clothing that you're selling better than the rest, or shows the quality, or explaining how soft the material is. Like, I think it had a great response for us.
Just showing a person behind it, right? A person that's actually like, this is a real product. This is something tangible.
Yeah.
And this is a job you're helping save.
And anybody can do that. Even if you don't have a website, you can do an Instagram live with your products and show the touch and the feel. And it was a 5-minute decision.
Yeah. It was like, we need to do this today.
And it happened.
And
was it perfect? Was the lighting perfect? Was everything perfect?
No.
But that made it better.
And it was at a time of day that we don't get very high engagement. Typically, we never post at that time.
Yeah.
So it was questionable, but it was still that many more people that we had basically in our store than we had.
I received more DMs on Instagram on a few dresses and items that got shown than I would have with just like a post.
Yeah, and I think every entrepreneur listening to this knows how important every single sale is right now. So what are you going to do to get the next sale?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we are left predominantly with a digital decision. That's it.
And don't be afraid to collaborate with other people. I think there's been this real
competitive.
Yes, and it's just like misinformation in business that you can't collaborate with people that have the same business with you because you're going to take customers or blah, blah. And I think that maybe something that's going to happen in this time is that idea is really going to go out the window. I know Donnie's reached out to local boutique owners to do some Instagram lives or podcasts together. And I just wonder, you do these Instagram lives now, you create this almost like mini mastermind of people going through exactly what you're going through, all stronger together, best ideas. What happens in 6 months when you all come out of it and are able to be stronger and do huge collaborations together? And now you're carrying so-and-so's products and she's carrying your products, and it's all real babes supporting babes, not just
It's an action.
babes supporting babes, as long as you're not in the same industry as me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think it's going to be so powerful. So it doesn't matter like what industry you're in. Just go find some people who are struggling like you, get on an Instagram live and be really honest about it. And then talk about the solutions and how customers can still shop and what solution you have for the consumer right now.
One thing I want to add here is to explore, if you do have a fully functioning website,
Yeah.
I highly suggest exploring options like dropship, whether you are the seller or like whether you are the retailer or the wholesaler. Something like drop shipping, I do believe to be the future of this industry. There's a ton of business being done that way already, but there is something about the traditional inventory model that I think is flawed that might not go back to normal. And so I think drop shipping is a hugely effective tool that you could implement. There is a platform called ETL21 that we have implemented onto our site. I feel like I'm giving my secrets away, but if this is helpful to anybody, if you have a brand, you can hop on there. You can upload your products or you can sync them with your site. I think that's available now. You might have to reach out to them. They're actually a Canadian company, so that's also very heartwarming. But if you have a brand, you can get on there. And so certainly you're not going to sell a bulk amount of products to one store. That's not what drop shipping is. But you might get 20 or 30 stores posting your items on their website and selling them, and then you're getting orders that you didn't have before. So that's one platform that I highly recommend. If you have any questions about this, you can DM me directly and I'll direct you, or I will send you an invite link to ETL21. And I actually have other platforms that I use as selling channels that I would be happy to share with you as well. So if you are an independent brand owner, I am happy to walk you through this. So just DM me.
Before I'm going to go back. When you do your Instagram live, make sure you give everyone advance notice. You can use the Instagram countdown. Make sure you have a strong internet connection. There's nothing like one person being blurry and the other person not. And something fun to do if you're not talking about products is we're all working at home. Like, turn your camera on and show your home office, your kids. Everything's crazy. Everyone wants to relate to things like that. But really quickly, some other things where I wanted to talk about is finding a way to give back. So I know like Smash and Test I actually don't know what it was, but I know they raised money for COVID relief, and I saw it, and there was like some lives going on, and I thought it was really awesome. And I know it's going to be announced probably tomorrow, but we're going to do a give back with Mamas for Mamas out of Kelowna, which is like a charity.
We're mamas, so we love the mamas.
Yeah, and they support single moms. And can you imagine being a single mom who already needed support that now is on EI and waiting for the government 2 months to give you your CCTB that's increased? Like, I can't even.
I have goosebumps actually, or like going to buy some of the items that you usually need and you can't actually even get them.
Yeah.
I was at Walmart yesterday and like diapers are low, wet wipes are low.
Yeah.
Like people are stocking up on formula.
You better start potty training people.
Yeah, this is going to be
Formula
was low. Yeah.
It's so bad. But I would say find a local charity or someone that you believe in, and times are hard for everyone. And I think the best thing you can put out into the universe right now is to give back whatever you can. It doesn't have to be a lot.
Yeah, and we're hoping to get Mamas for Mamas on the podcast and talk about it because I know they do have a lot of needs right now. I know personally I plan on taking some of the time and going through just Elliot's drawers and like bundling up all my baby stuff that I don't need anymore because I'm not having another little girl. I'm having a little boy, and just dropping that off or shipping that over to them. And then I'll go through my pantry as well and pull some of my rations that I have, you know, so many of, and ship that over as well. So they'll take food, clothing.
They need everything.
They need everything.
She just said right now, they just need everything. So we're going to donate a percentage or a dollar amount of sales and things back to them, and also raise awareness. So what else, you know, the food bank is like a really simple one that if you have a business and you also want to, if you're doing curbside drop off and you also want to be taking donations for the food bank, that could be something awesome. Just something little, but something that says to, yes, I'm still participating in the economy, and 2, I'm still giving back to the economy.
It's such a humble foot forward when you're putting yourself out there in a way that you really are trying to grow a business, a privately run business, to do something for somebody else at the same time.
Yeah.
I think it's the ebb and flow of life. You have to kind of like live in that groove.
Leanne Tui from the, I went to the Power of Women seminar before I had Kiana, or maybe I had Tristan. I don't remember. And Ellen DeGeneres was there, and it was like this huge meeting of women at Rogers Arena. And Leanne Tui, who's like the woman from The Blind Side, came out and said that she'd always put like $10 and $1 bills in her kids' cups in their cars. And they were told, like, when you see a homeless person, you're to give them money. And Michael, who was the guy, the football player she'd adopted, had said, but what if they're going to use it on drugs? And she was like, it's not in you to judge, it's in you to give. And I was like, oh.
What a great message to send to your children.
Mm-hmm. And so forever and always, we always give money to homeless people if we see them. I will
like transform my parenting based on that.
We always do. And I feel like there's also like there by the grace of God go I, like who knows how many decisions I was away from that. Right. So I could have been 6, 8, 3. I don't know. And if they're going to buy drugs, they're going to buy drugs. But if they're going to buy food, they're going to buy food. It's not my job to judge. It's just my job to give. So,
and if we can give, we should give.
If we can give, we should give 100%.
Let's get through these last few points. Just you guys might want to make notes of these things that we are offering. Ways to keep business going and sustain it in this time is curbside pickup. Free shipping, as hard as that is, it is the future of online. To some level, it's important. We have it on using an order amount over $100. You also have to be mindful of your business and what you can afford. You don't want to lose money. So looking at that, having a more relaxed return policy is something that customers will appreciate, because it's tricky to, especially right now, to get to a post office to return something, or who knows what's going to happen with the post office. Promoting gift cards and offering incentives. So things we've done in the past as well is if you purchase like $200, we'll throw you a gift card as well.
Yeah.
So it's something, gift cards are nice because there's something that somebody can re-gift.
Yeah.
Or use themselves.
And it's a way someone who just really wants to support your business
That's right.
can support your business right now, even though maybe there's someone that loves to shop here, but they're like, oh, I'm going to buy a $250 gift card and get $50 back because I don't know if that's the amount. I just made that up. But because I know in 3 months, I'm going to come shop in there.
Yeah. I like your next point. Discount stock that is old, underperforming, or have a few sizes left of. I think this is a humbling conversation that Katie's probably like knows I waffle about.
Had with you 9 times.
Well, it's hard. It's an honest conversation you have to have with yourself. Am I really going to sell this for this price? Sometimes you have an emotional attachment to something, or you're like, well, I paid this for it. And so you can't justify marking it down. But at the end of the day, what you need is a liquid asset. It's only going to depreciate in clothing, or I don't know what inventory item that somebody else is selling. But truthfully, sometimes you just need to have an honest conversation of what would I buy this for? It doesn't matter what you paid for it. Maybe you paid too much. Maybe you need to learn that lesson, and maybe it's an expensive lesson. I have learned these expensive lessons and worked when I've worked with like liquidating things. But it's something that you have to deal with honestly, because there's no point in spending money and rent and your online uploading something and paying to have it photographed and put online, and paying your monthly fees online is no different than rent. There's no point in paying rent on something that isn't going to sell. And then the last one is there any supplier you can extend your payables with? It doesn't hurt to ask. I think
Everybody's asking.
If you need help, reach out for help. What's the worst that can happen? They'll say no.
I heard a story about a boutique in San Francisco who reached out to their landlord and had said like, look, we've laid off this many people and blah, blah, blah. And the landlord said, don't worry about your rent for the next 3 months. Just pay your employees.
Isn't that so heartwarming?
Ugh.
Now, granted, I have heard other stories on the flip side.
So have I.
But I hope that we should spread the positive and people who need help will get help.
Yeah.
That's what I hope for.
Yeah.
But we should end this because we've probably gone over.
Should we announce our winner of our little PRIV Talks face group?
Yeah.
Yes.
We did a little contest on our Facebook group on PRIV Talks. We uploaded a bunch of memes. Whoever got the most likes, some of them were hilarious. It honestly kept me going through the week every day.
There's so many funny ones. You should go on there if you're not in that group already.
So Natalie Emberly, she posted a couple different memes, but one of her memes got the most likes. It was that one about coming out of quarantine and it had the girl with the bushy eyebrows.
Oh, yeah.
No eyelashes and grown out nails. But it was something that like
Lightened the mood of the week.
Lighten the mood of the week for sure. A little bit of laughter in these hard times is necessarily a good thing. So
yeah, agreed.
Okay.
Well, this podcast is going live today. This is like a real-time podcast. And then we will be doing a live tomorrow night, breaking it down. And we are hoping that other business owners, entrepreneurs will tune in and maybe want to go live with us and ask us questions or offer their advice.
Yes, we would love to have their advice.
Because I think we should share. So we'll invite some other maybe boutique owners in on this. And I hope you guys got something from this.
Stay healthy, everybody.
Wash your hands.
Don't eat any bat soup.
Don't eat any bat
That was
soup.
insensitive, wasn't it?
No. It's reality.
Just eat ramen soup because it's $1. Okay. I love you guys. Okay.
Love you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you love PRIV Talks podcast, please rate and review. Then DM us a screenshot of your review with your address to @PRIV Talks podcast so we can send you a free gift. Also, we want to keep the conversation going, so please join us on Instagram and get into our private Facebook group where we can chat and stay connected. Thank you so much. See you next time.